along with Sally Yates today, we're going to hear from the former Director of National Intelligence, James Clapper. And he said in January that as of, his last day in the post, January 20th, he had not seen any evidence of collusion between the Trump campaign and the Russians. On this network on Friday, you said, yes, there is fire. And you said you've seen, quote, evidence on the unclassified and the classified side of that fire. So what's the evidence?
And so first, Poppy, I want to speak very generally because I think I can address this issue. It is often the case that the FBI, if they're conducting a counterintelligence or a criminal investigation, would not read in the DNI, Mr. Clapper, at the time. I hope that is asked of him, so that is cleared up. And what I'm suggesting on Friday was that I have seen evidence both on the unclassified and classified side of collusion. That's evidence that the FBI must continue to develop.
Okay, so you can share with us then. You can share the unclassified evidence then.
Sure.
So what is it?
Happy to go through it. So first is Senior Foreign Policy Advisor Carter Page. After being told he was meeting with Russian spies, he, showing very bad judgment at the very best, looking, in the best light for Carter Page, he goes over a month after it's revealed that Russia is interfering with our elections to Moscow. General Michael Flynn, who had a security clearance at the highest level, knew that Russia Today, Russia's state broadcasting company, is directly linked to Russia's intelligence services, gives paid speeches to Russia, sits next to Vladimir Putin, and then, working on the transition team, reportedly is telling the Russian ambassador, don't worry about those sanctions we put on you.
But
Paul Manafort, chairman for the campaign.
These all may be questionable activity.
Bad optics.
Some of them may actually be in violation of the law. But what you have said on CNN is you have seen evidence of collusion between Trump campaign associates and the Russians. And that's an incendiary charge. I mean, you were saying that the Trump campaign colluded with the Russians in this election. If that's the case, we're just asking you what evidence you have of that.
Yeah. Well, I just gave you two examples. I have a lot more, John.
But that doesn't
that's not evidence of collusion. That's evidence, again, of possible wrongdoing. It's evidence of sketchy activities, but not, as far as I can tell, actually they were working together in the campaign.
John, I disagree. Paul Manafort, chairman of the campaign, being paid reportedly by Russia intelligence services, also being paid, and we've seen the ledger now, by pro-Russian Ukrainians, and then serving as the Trump campaign.
That was up to a decade before he served as chairman.
Right, but here's the convergence, is that he is serving as the chairman of the Trump campaign when the campaign is asking the Republican National Committee to take out any pro-Ukrainian language at its Republican convention. So again,
he said that he didn't do that. Again, Manafort said on Meet the Press that he was not the one who spoke up to change the platform. I mean, as John says,
do you think Manafort is a credible witness?
I'm absolutely not the one to judge, but John's point is, I mean, you need to answer his question. You made these claims. You made these claims of collusion. Where's the evidence?
So Roger Stone intimates to the world that John Podesta is about to spend his time in the barrel. That is weeks before John Podesta's emails are put out by Guccifer 2.0. And then we see conversations that Roger Stone was having with Guccifer 2.0. So, these are not just mere coincidences. This is a convergence. And then there's a whole classified side of information that I hope the world sees very soon. I hope the FBI, and I have every reason to believe, will continue to develop this. But this is not Donald Trump being the unluckiest man in the world to have all of these coincidences converge at the same time that Russia's interference was taking place.
And just so we know, again, there is the public information that we've discussed. You assert that it points to collusion. We were questioning if, in fact, it does. Have you seen things on the classified side that you cannot tell us about, though, that is even stronger evidence than what is out there publicly?
Yes.
Okay, so there are things that you cannot tell us that you think are more, perhaps more convincing than the public information.
There's a pattern here, John, on the classified and unclassified side of deep personal, political, and financial ties that Donald Trump and people in his family, in his businesses, and on his campaign had with a foreign adversary in Russia that converged at the same time that Russia was interfering with our campaign. Now, the classified side, that's the role of the House investigation to develop. That's the role of the FBI to develop. And the strength of that evidence, hopefully, will come forward, in the coming months or maybe perhaps even longer.